you will fight for Garner, Joe. You love Garner.
There's no doubt.
So let's get Garner up in here. Nyheim Hines had an incredible game this past weekend. Two touchdowns returned. And obviously the emotional tie into it with Damar Hamlin and what had happened last Monday night. Darrin Hines is joining us now on the Heister Automotive Group. He is Nyheim's father. Darrin, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Good. How are you?
So you were in Buffalo for to watch your son play. How was that your first time up watching up in Buffalo?
No, I've been up a few times.
Okay.
It's probably like my third or fourth time up.
Okay. So I gotta ask, from like a father's perspective, what's going through your head with that first touchdown and then the second one after that?
Believe it or not, I was over his house Saturday night, and he was actually going for a punt, trying to get 30 yards of punting and keep his average up. And he said, "Well, Dad, something's got to come back tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay." And so I'm looking for the punt, and they kick off, and boom. And so I got excited. So I was actually sitting. Mr. Doyle, one of the other player, Doyle, the offensive tackle. Mm-hmm. I was sitting in front of or behind his father, rather, and we got to talking, and I said, "Mr. Doyle, you're not gonna believe this, but when he starts off this fast, he's usually gonna do it again." And he probably didn't believe me. He probably looked at me a little crazy. And when he did it, he says, "Man, your son." He says, "You called that one." So, it's just. It was a historic moment for me to see that, especially with all the tragedy early in the week.
I was going to say, Darrin, like I coached my oldest son at the Avery Street Center over there basketball, and he had a steal and a layup at the end of one game when he was like 9 years old. My heart was through my chest. The Nightmares making NFL history on Sunday after the Damar Hamlin, cardiac arrest, after everything, the NFL basically shut down. And for that play with all eyes on him, you just had to – I know he's 26 now, but still. I mean, that had to be something for you. Just the pride must have been indescribable.
Oh, yeah, it took me a minute to grasp it. Like I said, first play of the game, that was just – I wasn't ready for that, to be honest with you. I don't think anybody was but I think it was for what we had been through that week. I think that was a big thing for the fans in Buffalo as well as his teammates.
Darrin Hines is Nyheim's dad.
Started.
Darrin Hines is Nyheim's dad. He's joining us here on the Heister Automotive Group Hotline. That's Jovius. I'm Joe Giglio. So yeah, you were up in Buffalo, and we've seen on social media, Darrin, the communication between Damar and Nyheim and their relationship. But just tell us a little bit about what it was like, and just being up there, and also, that relationship and connection that they have.
It was a special time because, you got a lot of teammates as an NFL player. And one of the things Nyheim had said to me earlier in the week was like, he's one of the guys that I actually call a really friend. So I think deep in his mind, I was trying to reach and talk to him about it. And he was kind of like brushing it off, like he didn't really talk about it a lot, but I knew that when he told me that was a guy that he really admired and he was a real good friend of, I was hoping that he was, be ready, game ready, and I think that kickoff or two kickoffs, I think that had something to do with his drive that day for what he wanted to do for Damar.
Darrin Hines joining us. We're going to do one quick thing to try to reconnect because your audio is getting a little fuzzy there, so just sit tight, Darrin. Darrin Hines joining us. He's the father of Nyheim Hines, who had two returns for a touchdown in Buffalo's regular season finale this past weekend as you're getting ready to start for the playoffs. You're going to be taking on the Dolphins.
It's so funny that he said Nyheim knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say that. Nyheim always knows when something's coming.
Yeah.
The return. And like he said, the punt was probably what he was thinking. But, you think about, he joins this Buffalo team in a trade where, the Colts are selling off parts.
Yeah.
Right? And so it also puts Nyheim in a position where he's on a last place team going to a Super Bowl contender.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. I've known Darrin for 9 years now. And this is what Nyheim has played for his whole career.
Yeah.
Yes, getting to the NFL was part of it, but winning the Super Bowl is a bigger part of it. And to have that chance with Buffalo and to announce kind of how he joined the team this way, in this moment, in this spotlight, was spectacular.
We could bring Darrin Hines back on here on the Heaster Automotive Group hotline as we're talking about his son Nyheim. And Gilio was just referencing it. It's actually what I wanted to ask you about, the opportunity of where the Colts were headed, right? What's he thinking? Like as things kind of were unfolding with the Colts, and then he gets traded to the Bills, where they're in a window, man. I mean, they were trying their best to get to the Super Bowl. What was kind of his initial thoughts when all this played out? What were your thoughts when all this stuff played out?
So he basically called me, and I was on his last game in Indianapolis. I actually went to, and about that Wednesday or Thursday, he had told me, he says, "What do you think about me going to Buffalo?" And he says, "I'm aging, and he says, I got that window of age." And I said, "I get it." He says, "I just want to try to get more opportunity." And we knew that Buffalo had reached out to him basically about every year that he played after his rookie year. Mm-hmm. So his agent called me during that week, and he asked me, was I going to be up in Indy? And I said, yes. So after the game with the Colts, we actually went and sat down and ate dinner with his agent. And that's when the ball got rolling.
Okay.
And so we knew that it was that possibility as of that weekend. But we didn't know where the Colts going to let him go or not. But obviously it worked out for him. He's happy. So that's the big thing. And I said, I'll support you wherever you're at.
Of course.
And,
although Buffalo. I mean, look, like I've been to Indianapolis. I've been to Buffalo. At least when you go to a Colts game, it's in a climate-controlled environment. It gets cold in Indy, but at least you're indoors, right? Buffalo's Buffalo's different, man.
It is. And me as an Asian parent, I thought about that dome, and I was like, oh man, I got to go back out in the weather.
Yeah.
It was a thought process. So I said, well, whatever you do, I'm gonna support you. If I go out there and freeze, I'll have to freeze, but I'm gonna support you. And so the funny thing is, the first week he was up there, he actually, I'm getting ready for the weather, so I get on Amazon and I order me and my fiance heated gloves, heated socks, heated vest, and we get up there that Friday, and I told Nyheim, I said, I'm ready, man, for this weather. And he says, I said, I bought, this heated stuff, all this heated stuff. He said, well, you're not going to need that. And I was like, oh, yeah, I am going to need it. And he says, nah, you're going to be inside. And I said, I'm saying to myself, what do you mean inside?
Yeah.
And so I said, I'll see. In my mind, I'm saying, I'll believe this when I see it. Mm. And so we get to the game, and he put us in the club seats.
Okay, nice.
So
nice.
It's not been bad. It's just as good as the dome to me.
You can tell him I said this, but do you know the first thing I thought of when he got traded to Buffalo?
What was that?
Do you remember when State played up at Notre Dame? In social media, it was like 50 degrees, and they show Nyheim getting off the plane in like this parka and wool hat, and I'm like, oh, State's about to lose. Because they can't win without him, and we all know that. But I was like, oh no, my guy is not a cold weather guy.
Yeah, that was a tough game. I sat through that, and man, I was like, when we realized that he was going to the NFL, I was thinking about that game actually, saying, I told him, I said, man, if you go to Green Bay or Buffalo or somewhere, I'm probably going to be done with you after about October. I'm going to probably be watching from TV.
Hey, watch from home. You're still supporting.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. It's such a great story that all's well that kind of ends well here, Darrin. But as a dad, you're watching. Let's go back to Monday night. You're watching the game. You're watching the Cincinnati game. And that wasn't a cheap hit. That wasn't a dirty play. That was a fluke football play. And you see Damar Hamlin need CPR. You see him need to be revived. 24 years old. And you know the position that Nyheim plays. It's the most dangerous play in football, the kickoff return. What was going through your mind as a dad and knowing the risks that your son takes to play in the NFL?
Um, Seeing that, and I'll tell you how my usual approach is. Since he's been playing football, I've always say I never worry about it. I always say I'm putting in God's hands, so I never worry about it into a game. I never go into a game expecting him to get hurt. I just say if it happens, it's God's will. But that situation there, when he got up and then he fell down, the first thing that actually came to my mind, I started thinking about Tua and his incident, and then obviously after that, after Tua's first incident, Nyheim had an incident likewise while he was with the Colts. So that's what I was thinking was going on when I said, well, he's probably got a concussion and he's gonna be all right. But then when I heard CPR, my heart sank because I had never seen anything like it. So it was definitely a moment of it makes you do a lot of self check right there when you see something like that happen. All I could do at that point was pray once I realized they had to give him CPR. And when they sent the teams in the locker room, Nyheim actually texted me and told me that they had given CPR. At that point, I didn't know that. And then he said, they had bought the defibrillator out there. And so that really I probably knew about that part of it before a lot of the fans did. That was a defining moment. It made me think about him as a player and it was just a self-check moment for me.
Darrin Hines, father of Nyheim Hines, Buffalo Bills, former NC State player. Darrin, we appreciate the time.
Garner.
Sorry. I always, when Garner comes up, it's Joe's on it. Joe's on it. Darrin, we appreciate the time. Have a good rest of the week.
All right, definitely. It's a pleasure.